Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. The World Silver Survey was released recently, and there's some quite interesting things in there, and we're going to explore some of them and why silver has been performing horribly as an investment. Let's explore. This comes to us from the Silver Institute. This is released annually, and this is their report on silver, and these reports are very well done, I believe, and there's a lot of information in here that I think we can explore, and you can really take out a lot of different information from this that can be both positive and negative for silver. But we're going to explore a little bit here about the silver prices for the last year or even a couple of years, and look at it in relation to demand and supply. A little bit here we can see from these little charts here that supply is kind of edging back just a bit. Some people feel like we've reached a peak silver production. I don't really know. I believe that if there's a massive increased demand for silver, they'll probably find other ways to get it through other channels, because silver is mined mostly as a byproduct of other metals. But here we can see there's been a slightly more demand in the past year here, and even in slight increase in coins and bars, and that's good. And I think that's the takeaway from this video, is that even though silver is really a horrible investment, people are still buying, which means that people are looking beyond the down hype, I guess you would say, on silver, and looking at it for really what it is, because it's not an investment at all. But let's explore a little bit about the prices of silver here. And of course, we can take everything here, especially here when it turns monthly real silver prices here in 2018 dollars. And if you look at it from 1970, from a constant U.S. dollar adjusted, I guess, assume here, and with the U.S. dollar and the like here on this side, and then this chart here is the most telling, I believe, because you have the spikes from 1980 and in 2011, and 1980 was really an anomaly there because of the Hunt brothers cornering the market and the like. But if you look at it, going back to 1970 to 2019, or right up to 2018, I guess to the end of 2018, the average in real dollar price is $16.69. And that's quite telling. And with that average out, that does take into account these spikes here, by the way, as part of that average, which moves it up, which means that really the average price probably should be down. And that's kind of where it is now. The price is down. These indicators move it up. And therefore, we are probably setting at about probably where silver, for all intents and purposes, probably should be. So I think this is quite telling in my view, this particular chart here, the monthly real silver prices. And how where really silver should be, which is why I've always said that real factors on price are because of natural market indicators as opposed to manipulation. Not this. I'm not denying manipulation by banks and other factors, and of course with the electronic gauge, there's a lot more propensity for such a thing. But obviously things like what happened in 1980 was pure manipulation to the upside. And of course what happened in 2011 was an anomaly as well. So therefore, when you take into account of everything with the lows and the highs and the real average here, we're really relatively close to where we should be in the price, at least according to that report here. But let's take a look here and see, because silver is volatile, and it has been volatile, much more volatile than gold in my view. And this little graph here shows us that, that it's very volatile, especially 2011, 2012, a lot of volatility. But now it's becoming less volatile. It's settling into its own over the last 10 years. And I think that is quite fascinating indeed. We're seeing it kind of level out. Of course, when the economy does well, silver tends to be suppressed, as gold as well. And of course, we can other things here. We'll explore some of the other aspects and some of these other metrics in future videos, I'm sure. But if you look at the commodity prices here, it's fascinating to see where they are in terms of other commodities. But this chart here is the main thing to look at, where compared to the S&P 500 and gold, silver here. And you can see the vast difference between gold and silver indexes there. But it's the investment side. This chart here is what is really telling for us. If you look back through the last couple of years, we can see silver has performed better back in early 2017 than the S&P 500 index and the bond yield market. But as 2018 started and into 2019, we can see it's moved in quite the opposite direction. Silver has become a horrible investment over the last year and a half. And that is quite telling. And it is understandable why people would be discouraged as such. But when you take into account the situation, silver is really doing what it's supposed to do in times like this. The economy is doing very well by most measures. And so when the economy does well, safe haven assets such as gold and silver tend to suffer in times like these. And even other commodities, we'll take a look and see some of these other commodities are doing as well here. Let's see here. Here we can see other asset classes. Base metals suffered, energy suffered, and other aspects with the dollar index did well. So when the dollar index does well, and agriculture actually has done very well too, then typically base metals and other commodities tend to suffer in that kind of climate. And here we can see the index performance across assets in 2018, and this really brings the point home. So not only did silver suffer, it suffered much less than other things such as nickel, copper. But you think about it, these other metals here, and because they weren't doing as well, maybe they didn't become economically viable to mine as much of them. And silver is a byproduct of those metals. So that means that there's probably more silver in the ground as a byproduct of these other metals, and we may not have seen peak production yet in silver. Well, look, lead, aluminum, all suffering greatly, and zinc was the worst hit there. And then you come down natural gas, iron ore, tin, and you go up, and then you have gold here. Gold is kind of the baseline there. It's kind of was kind of just stagnant there, but that just goes to show you that gold is the safest, is the ultimate of the safe havens, which is why I like to tell silver stackers to diversify into some gold if you can. Silver is great to purchase. It is low. The price is low in times like these. And if you can stack some, I think it's great. But to me, it's a bit more risky in the short term. Short term meaning, 10 years or more, 10 years or less, in my opinion, because you don't know. If you look at any metrics over the last 10 years, you can pick apart different times when you may have purchased silver at a much higher price. And if you need to sell, you're going to take a loss, pretty big loss. That kind of volatility in the price is not quite there with gold. But then again, the economy has been improving over the years as well. If the economy were to start to take a downturn, I think we'll see the metals prices go up as safe haven assets sets in. We're long overdue for another recession. So there's your reason to consider accumulating silver in your collection as a stack, as a way to protect yourself against economic instability, keeping in mind that it is not an investment, never has, never will be. The metal itself is merely there as a protection against the dollar instability. Right now, the dollar is beating silver, and gold to some extent, although I would say it's probably holding steadier, closer with gold, and maybe they're running about even right now. We'll see how things go. The dollar index, you can see, is a clear winner here. The euro has even done better, but a lot of that is probably the European Central Bank. A lot of the things they're doing. Of course, there's talk of maybe even another quantitative easing, and who knows what they're doing, to manipulate their currency. But look here, we have some agricultural commodities doing quite well, with wheat especially doing very well. But really the best performing of everything here is quite a surprise. Look at that, palladium and rhodium. And for those of us who maybe have purchased rhodium when it was on its record lows quite some time ago, back in when I purchased rhodium, it was at $1,000 or $800 an ounce. I got a bar for like $1,100, huge premium on it. But look what it's doing right now. Rhodium is the clear winner here of all of them. And I've also purchased palladium when it was very, very cheap. About $267 an ounce is what I purchased it for back when it was really low. So I've done well there. But the thing is, I will never realize those gains unless I sell them. And I'm not going to sell my 1 ounce of rhodium. I'm not going to sell any of the palladium I have either. Maybe I should, but I don't roll like that. I like to have the metals because I think they're kind of neat. And the same goes with silver. When silver has taken a loss, such as you've seen over the past year here, you only lose out if you sell. It's best thing to do is to hold on what you have, and who knows? Silver could go back up again. So maybe buy some more when the prices are low. That's the thing about the mentality. So many people are saying, "Well, we've got to get out of silver now because it's not performing." But it's a long-term game, long-term hold, and you've got to weather the storms. And this is a storm for silver, and in some cases for gold too. And but the metals are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. When they're down, that doesn't mean they're out. It just means but the question is are you out? And that's really what the bottom line is, because it's times like these when we hang tough, we hold on to our metals and see where things go. You're always going to be protected by the intrinsic value of those metals. How they will be realized in years to come, well, it's anybody's guess. None of us have a crystal ball. But we hold on to them and we realize that they are there to protect us in times of economic uncertainty. But in times of economic prosperity, well, they're there as a bargain. And they're there to hold on to through these times. Because most people, during economic prosperity, the vast majority of people are doing better than they are in times of economic uncertainty or economic recession or downturn. So for most people, and I'm not saying all people, obviously, and I'll get into that in just a moment, but most people don't need to sell their silver. So if there's no need to sell it, you might as well hold on to it. And if you have the wherewithal or the means, it might be a good idea to purchase some more. Other people are doing it. Sales have been up in 2018 in the coin and bar area. So people, I think, are starting to catch on to it because it's not about hype. And when it's low is the time to accumulate, in my opinion, and it's the time to really celebrate. In fact, there's members of this community who completely understand that and want the price to go down a lot more so they can get more. And so they're the ones that I think are the smartest among us because of where things are. But really, you think about it, yes, I believe it is a bargain here. But at the same time, we saw from the chart above here that it is really about the average of where it should be based off the real dollars here. So in this chart here, very telling, I think, of where the average is. But silver is not there to make you money. It never will be. It's not about making money. It's about preserving wealth. And it's about a way as an insurance policy against a potentially troublesome U.S. dollar down the road. And again, I encourage all silver stackers out there to diversify a bit into gold. Most of you are, but I know some Some are weighting it, and they feel like the ratio is high enough that it's an incredible bargain time to get silver because they think the ratio is going to tighten up. It may or may not. It may widen even more. Who knows? Because of the duality role of the metal. Now, there are some folks who may have gotten into silver when it was $20 an ounce, or when it was higher, or even $18, $19 an ounce. And some of them may have gotten in late. In other words, when they were getting in late as pure stackers, and they realize, you know what, I need to sell. Or in an even worse case scenario, there may be some people who got in and bought a bunch of silver in 2011 when it was very high. Because during those times, I remember people thinking, oh, it's just going to keep going up from here. And so people were buying it. That's the propensity to buy when it's high. And that's the cautious thing that you've got to keep in mind, is to be very cautious whenever there is hype around silver, is to really be very careful when you're buying at those levels, because it was in a bubble and that bubble popped for silver. Now, if you bought at that time, and that's another subject for another video, and I've got a screen capture from a message that was sent to me about that very thing, and I'll talk about that in a separate video. However, when people buy when it's higher than it is now, and they have to sell, or they get it as a stack and they're retiring with it, they're going to take a loss. There's no other way to say it, and it's a sad thing, but I would dare say to those people, if they hope to make any money on silver in the short time that they've been holding, within the last couple of years here, they were either misled or they didn't fully understand what silver was about. And that's the cautionary tale. Understand that which you put your money in. It doesn't really get any more simple than that, because silver, gold, stocks, cryptocurrencies, wherever you put your money in it, understand it. And I tell you, and honestly, that's why I haven't gotten into cryptocurrencies myself. I don't fully understand it all. And now part of me doesn't want to really take that rabbit hole and really deep dive and learn the complexities of it, because I think there's a lot and all the fees and the stuff associated with it and everything. But I understand gold and silver. And that's why I put my money in it, because I understand it, and I understand the losses that could come in, that could be incurred in real dollars, per se, if I needed to sell at a particular point in time. Those are the risks you take in the short term. In the long term, I think we're better protected. We're in a better position overall, because it preserves our wealth in normal economic conditions through time. And that's the factor. That's the thing you look at. This chart is really amazing here. I mean, look at that. 1669 as the average. You take away these two, and that number is actually going to be down. These two peaks here. So this should, and I hope this encourages you, for those of you who are discouraged about silver right now. It sucks as an investment. Why? Because it's foolhardy to think of it as an investment. It is merely a money. I believe it's money that is a protection. It's an insurance policy, and it's a hedge. Slightly riskier than gold, in my view, more volatile than gold, but nonetheless, it is that. It is a protection. So post your thoughts below about this topic, about silver as an investment, and why more people are buying now. That should encourage us too, because I guarantee you one thing: if we get people buying silver and they understand what they're getting into, understanding what it is that they're holding, the more people that have it, the better it is all for everybody. Because when everybody starts to see the importance of it for what it is, then it becomes something that cannot be ignored by the mainstream anything, whether it be media, whether it be society, whether it be finance, banking, what have you. That's the bottom line. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude, y'all, for watching, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, subscribe, and maybe eat some vegetables if you get a chance. I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to eat a leaf of lettuce, or I mean a leaf of spinach, right after I'm done with this video, just in honor of trying to be healthy, even though I just got finished with some ice cream. Take care.